before you supplement, what's the first thing you need to do is you need to start on the basics. So in terms of carbs, what do you do before you start supplementing carbs? You're making sure you get enough carbs to fucking begin with. And once you do the maths, you're going to be pretty surprised on how much you actually need for performance. So what I'll do is I'm going to let me get me a little my mobile device. I've actually got some pictures here of some stuff I've got saved on my PC. So bear with me. I've got some sort of numbers here which give you an idea of what you should be taking per day, basically. I'll rattle through these. Right, so if you're refueling, okay, so this is like a refueling situation, like after an event, whatever. If the intensity was light, so low intensity skill based, you want 3 to 5 grams per kilo of body mass a day. Moderate, 5 to 7. High, 6 to 10. Very high, 10 to 12. Very high is 4 to 5 hours a day. So that's probably like your very top end athletes. I mean, that could probably be, I don't know, a top level CrossFitter maybe. And 10 to 12 a day, think about how much that is, Tom.
That is a lot.
If you weigh 80 kilos, that's 800 plus grams of carbs you need to refuel.
Hang on a minute. So we're looking at very high here, yeah? I'm going to say let's go for 12. Let's go for 12 grams.
Go for the top end.
Just for the sake of it. Oh my God. I'm looking at like 4,000 calories here. It's ridiculous. Yeah, that's where your mass gainer shake comes in. That's where you want to get on the old maltodextrin.
But I mean, most people would fall in that category, so they've actually got special situations here, which is maximum daily refueling. So post-event recovery or aggressive fueling, they would say 8 to 10 grams per kilo body mass per day, which is more obviously appealable. And also they've put as well, this is a really great resource actually. This would be something that will go very well in our future projects, which we're not going to announce yet. But our secret library. But speedy refueling as well. So the space shuttle. So if you've got less than 8 hours recovery and you need to speedy refuel, they've put 1 to 1.2 grams per kilo body mass after the first session, repeated each hour until normal schedule resumes. So this is, as you notice there, it seems quite low. But that's because you've got quite a less amount of recovery. So if you were to smash too much, you'd probably be fucking in shit state, like bloated. After all that,
you'd be mullered after that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'll go on to the next ones. I've got more here, guys. Don't worry, I'm absolutely giving you all the information here. So these are just the bog standard daily carbohydrate recommendations. So if you've got a pen and paper, if you're not driving, this could be quite useful. Or you could wait for our library to appear somewhere. So if you do light activity, so once again low intensity work, skill based stuff, you want 3 to 5 grams per day. So to be fair, these numbers are exactly the same as a refueling, to be honest. But so for most people, what would you say most people do? An hour a day, if that, of exercise a day?
I mean, it also depends on like the intensity of the exercise.
Yeah, of course. So moderate.
We know that the vast majority of people are nowhere near hitting the recommended guidelines for fitness
of course not.
or exercise activity.
So I want to make a good point here, Tom. So they've put moderate 1 hour per day, but they've put on high. They've put endurance 1 to 3 hours per day. So obviously that depends on your activity level, doesn't it? But once again, moderate exercise 5 to 7 grams per kilo a day. All right. So if I quickly bang that in for me, for example, if I was doing that, if I go high end,
I'll go low end.
I need to be having about 600 grams of carbs a day.
450 for me,
which is quite a lot.
Yeah, 1,800 calories worth for me.
But do you now appreciate why we're saying that you need to probably look at these numbers before you start? Because the odds are, I guarantee most of you now, if you sit down at your meals and look at all the carbs you're taking in a day, you're not at your numbers. You're not at your numbers you are needing to sufficiently fuel your body for activity. And because of that, this supplement, probably get your numbers up, but you're probably better off making sure you've got your baseline dumps first.
You probably don't need it as long as you've got like a balanced diet involving carbohydrates anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But as I said, I reckon most people might be surprised at how low carbs they might even be having.
Yeah.
Because when you're planning your meals, some people might have a really high fatty meal with like minimal carbs, and they might not realise, and then they've lost all these carbs. So that is why when you look at food, like the fucking Eat Well plate, like that thing, they do recommend the majority of your plate's carbs. Yeah. And that's probably what we're saying is that you probably want more carbs to get to those numbers. If you train, obviously, if you're very, sedentary and you don't fucking do anything, you don't need as many. But this is why I always think trainers can be really beneficial. I mean, not good trainers, though, because these numbers are very different to each individual. And the numbers I just gave you are going to be dependent on so many factors that if you've got like a PT in your pocket, for example, your own little online personal trainer, these are someone who could like work with you daily to sort these things out. Because
now, bear in mind, we can give you these guidelines.
Yes.
But we are not. So this might actually shock some listeners, but we're not allowed to actually give you some form of nutritional prescription. We can say, look, here's the guidelines. Make of that what you will.
Yeah.
But if your personal trainer, unless they're a registered dietitian or nutritionist, they should not be giving you some prescribed meal plans. Just throwing that out there.
Once that's all nailed, basically, so all those numbers I've just rattled off, and if you're hitting those numbers and you're carbing up sufficiently for your activity levels, and you still want to perform to that next level, maybe go for it. But as we said, there's going to be loads of different factors on that. I've got one more thing here as well. This is from another source. They said you should consume 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour, or 0.7 grams a kilo of body weight, in order to maintain blood glucose levels. This is of extreme importance when the event lasts more than an hour and it takes place in an extreme environmental condition, cold, heat, or high altitude. So the importance of that is, guys, so you want to this is maintain, yeah? So we're not saying go above. So if you're doing a long endurance event, so longer than an hour, like that statement I just said, if your glucose levels drop below, the baseline, you're going to be fucked. You're going to feel fucked. If you're like an hour into the event and they drop below what they should be, you're going to feel shit. And that is why they say you should consume 30 to 60 per hour, or 0.7 of your body to maintain it. Because that's what you should do as a minimum if you're on these endurance events. You need to be... so if you're doing... What event can you think of, Tom? An ultra marathon? What are they, 100 miles?
The death race.
You
ever heard of the Nevada death race?
Isn't that in cars?
No. The Nevada death race is like a run across Nevada. It's like an ultra extreme marathon.
So this one, they'd probably be having like 100 grams an hour or something daft like that.
Yeah, you'd actually be living off of carbohydrate powders, drinks.
Yeah, you would be.
Because you wouldn't be stopping. Yeah,
you would be. You'd probably have like, what is it, like a little holster? Little pouches.
2 up here, 1 here.
Just little drinks, yeah.
Do you know what, another one? Because this is where, because it's getting towards that season actually, where it's starting to open back up again. Things like, so obviously you get things like Tough Mudders, etc. Now, probably not the regular ones, but you do get something like Spartan Trifectas, where it's like all 3 in one day, or, at least 2 of the longer ones, etc. So things like that, like basically long distance events, etc. Even like, let's just say, if you're, once again, going back to a military setting, you're doing the longest tab of your life, etc. That's where I'd actually see it being really bloody useful. Especially where you're not just at like a certain pace, but you're doing a lot of doubling, where you have to run every now and again, and your glucose is just depleting rapid, and you are absolutely fucked. Something like cyclic dextrin, I'd be necking that. If I knew about that, if I knew about cyclic dextrin years ago, I'd have been all over that.
Yeah. I mean, just from doing this episode and just sort of looking more into it, it definitely seems like something that's worth taking if, long
you're
events.
In a tactical athlete setting.
Yeah, or even, yeah.
Do you know what, Bill? CrossFit Games.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. If you're doing a competition over multiple days, this could be something that I can see is really beneficial.
Where you don't want something filling up your stomach too much, like at least getting close. Not. I don't mean for the whole day. Don't eat. I'm saying like if it's getting close towards the event and you've got like a couple of hours, or you've got an hour before your event, and you're like, right, let's neck this cyclic dextrin.
Because what I find, mate, obviously I did a competition quite recently, British Army Warrior Games finals, and I found that because you're so like in the zone and you don't really feel like hungry, like you don't really feel like you want to eat. You're forcing yourself to eat because. But the problem is, I just made like normal food, like wraps and shit, but they just like heavy. Whereas ideally,
I hate having that heavy feeling on my stomach. Whereas liquid, I could digest. I would
be better off having a cyclic dextrin shake and a protein shake or something. Like, so that would have been perfect for me because it would have been light. It would have given me the energy I needed rather than me smashing a wrap.
Yeah.